All right, abusuya mincha na misanso emo akwaba emre channel so eha eda so aye be media GH. Na abusuya eye special eye tribunal court e de eye attorney general ekopie mu ewo eye parliament. Na abusuya okopie mu ewo eye parliament no eye de good news abayi na ne say allegedly the special tribunal court has been passed. Na court bill no abusuya ya pass. Now, here the minority leader led the minority led by Atigya Afenyo markin. Edin Sembi Editu I just alleged Romuchra. Sa special tribunal court now just say yeah the air ban ebema NDC for now say the party in power no ebetumi agina so e dey no bebre e dey tia the opposition party. Na busia amaneboni echemu eche say workout stage bi course so parliament nene ade lawyer Martin Kpebu ababonti ababedi nkomo afa sa special tribunal court no ehon abusia chese wadi ho nkomo pa me enya asem to pese yekọ na yetie na yeche ya adwen nsem a ode atudwo kira sa special tribunal court ebebo ma cases a yede kọ court etumi di be 5 years 6 years no abusia ene de lawyer Martin Kpebu legal private practitioner and wadi nkomo aka nsem e de afa special tribunal court mayen court na yiti na yeche ya adwen emergency ha e da so aye be media je be se wa se ene de kwani to channel so ne de kwan so mo de aso be subscribe be like na wa bo aso ahema for person be tie no anya bi ete yiti nsem e court so parliament abra ye pass special tribunal court special tribunal bill emergency ya that's
so abusuya aya special tribunal court it is the attorney general ekoko piemu e parliament and rather omo pass bill no controversies bebre na appear free mu abana controversies no abusuya NPP minority omo say omo ntiase ne ntiase echina cause omo chira tribunal court na ye de sanso ba no NDC for the be attack NPP for no Afenyo markins ekasa bebre any NPP minority working out but working out no ankwanko wie peye na special tribunal court Lawyer Martin Kpebu ababe drop full details on special tribunal court attorney general LED esanso baba cause or say special tribunal court na eba no cause ebeboa ama accountability no adwuma and court cases say to me this 7 years 8 years near the ade no masa NPP for enkom anuntum na say yemba adwuma inti Lawyer Martin Kpebu ababe drop submissions amasa na submissions now or the babonte no ashoke NPP for now mo de omani baako na say Lawyer Martin Kpebu na Lawyer Martin Kpebu ne de MPP for no mobile power I'm to be about so issue abuza yam konkweti nse be course ne ba yede aka ato am so na san e be kon Ghana ha say open computer papa na laptop papa na we use ya borrow periodic computers and accessories say ho na obenya laptop papa na we use the location enye ira kwan o Kumase Bokrom Estates Eli friend number na egu ya screen yasin yam konkweti nse me course
6 and Article 142 of the Constitution, there is established by this act a tribunal system which consists of a regional tribunal and a district tribunal. 2. Subject to the Constitution, this act and any other enactment, a tribunal shall operate as an independent body and presided over by 2 lawyers and 2 non-lawyers. That is where the issue is. And this is why I bring in Martin Kpebu, is private legal practitioner. And counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us. And you've been observing what's been happening in Parliament as we speak. And then also the positions of both the majority and the minority regarding this particular Section 4. And the fact that the minority, apart from some of General Paul last week indicating that the mention of the tribunals brings them nightmares, they say that to the extent that the chair of the tribunal will be a lawyer, but then the other 2 will be non-lawyers who would be presided over criminal matters and they don't have legal background. It could create problems for that's the position of the minority. I want to find out what you think of this.
What I'll say, Mr. Okansi, right away is that we would always need lay people to participate in the justice system. We always need it. Look, Article 125 of the Constitution says that justice emanates from the people, blah, 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 and the people may participate. So, you know, we have jurors. Yeah, we have jurors. So that tells you that citizens participate in such matters. And you know what? Using jurors did not start with Ghana, right? We've had jurors for several hundreds of years. I can remember in the US, the way the second president, John Adams and co, fought to have the jury system established in the US. You know, a lot of the initial pilgrims in the US, they came from England, etc. So they copied what pertained in England. And to date, you see that the Americans have made it better. Look, and let me tell you, it's not only in Ghana that sometimes you find lawyers saying that non-lawyers should not participate in the justice system. In the UK, just earlier this year, they were attempting to abolish the juror system. The way people came out and lashed out at the Deputy Prime Minister, Lamy, and co. So they recoiled. So the good thing about what Lawyer Afenyo Markin is doing is that it will serve as a warning to government in choosing the tribunal chairman and other panel members not to choose hawks, die-hard NDC people. You don't want die-hards. When a die-hard is a judge, it is terrible. He can't hide his party affiliation. So Afenyo and the minority, their noise is good. It's good for our democracy. It is nice to warn that this is not an opportunity for die-hards, that's party hawks, to be appointed, but moderates, because listen, you can't run away from it that in such appointments, people who are affiliated to the NDC will be appointed. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it works all over the world. And you know, we've cited President Trump's example, even on the US Supreme Court, where he promised voters that, look, if you vote for me, I will send people to the US Supreme Court who can strike down Roe versus Wade. That's the law, the US Supreme Court case that made abortion free. Let's say abortion was generally allowed, dating from the 70s, something that's over 40 years old. Yet Trump, as an electoral promise, said he will appoint people to the US Supreme Court to do that job, and he was able to do it. So, and even Ghana here itself, if you go back to our history, we've had lots of judges who have had one political color or another, from Edumwa, Bosman and Co, Olenu, many Supreme Court. So the noise is good, so that no die-hard. We don't like die-hards. But of course, moderates and people who are quiet sympathizers will make their way. And as we continue making noise this way, we refine the system. As for the tribunal system, we cannot say that it shouldn't come on, but rather the debate should be how we will get the best of our citizens to go in there, the best, so that it won't be a party agenda, like what Abu Jinapo mentioned, which is that you get some party apparatchiki who go and occupy those. And as I said, as for saying party apparatchiki, if we say, you know, party apparatchiki will be appointed, it is farcical. It won't happen. That's, in other words, party people will get it. But ones who are very moderate, ones who put Ghana first. So you see me saying this. We all know that a year and a half ago, election 2024, said vote for NDC, vote for JM, etc. This government came, things that are not good, we say no. Like the way bail is being weaponized now. You see, I've joined the crusade, we are talking against it. So you need people who would put Ghana first, but not party affiliation. Our party needs to jail 100 people so that the next election will look good. So no matter how, just jail anybody. No. Okay? So that is what we should be looking at. Because as you referenced earlier, the tribunal system has always been in Article 142, 143, etc. It's been there. And it's not only in Ghana, like we said. In the UK, they still use the tribunal system. Internationally, you hear International Criminal Tribunal, etc. Yes, International Criminal Tribunal. You see the one that tried Charles Taylor, other people, the ICC. And the ICC, see how many African countries have former leaders have been tried or going through trial, etc. So our key thing should be the persons who will be appointed and other things to make sure that it works. So in that line, if I have a minute or two, may I mention that even though on Saturday I was excited that if you look at the Schedule 2, when it comes to the Galamsey cases, they say that when the trial starts, they should finish within 42 days. But now it's been clicking me that, hey, it appears 42 is too ambitious. So, because even the developed countries, the UK, etc., some of the cases you have, 6 months. So this 42, it has caused me to now think whether really we can do it. Yes, because NDC have the majority, they can pass it. But you're asking yourself that, hey, how many trials can you finish within 42 days?
42 days.
To look like too much of stress. And other things we can talk about. So these are the conversations we should have, how to make the system better. But as for saying there should be no tribunals, no. And like this other argument, it's just like in the when we're in the military regime. Yes, Chairman Rawlings and his people, the soldiers in Burma camp, they had free reign. They could come into town, a big person could go and report you, then they'll come to your house and then take you to Burma camp, discipline you, etc. The same Chairman Rawlings, when we started constitutional rule, you see that practice of soldiers coming to brutalize citizens willy-nilly has died down. Now we still have it here and there, but if you compare what was happening before the Constitution 1992, you see that there's been a drastic reduction. I dare say at least 95-97% reduction. Right? So what I mean is that the tribunals as they existed in the PNDC era can certainly not be the tribunals we are about to start here.
Okay.
And I also mentioned that I came and met the regional tribunals. From the little that I saw, they were using law. It was far better refined, okay, than those days, like the way the military people would come and pick you, PDC, and all those things. No. This is not a PDC. I think sometimes we want to confuse the tribunal with a PDC. The PDC people, those days, they could just come, take the person, go to the market square, ask a few questions,
and that's why some General Paul talk about it bringing nightmares because of that kind of history. But I thank you. This is just a beginning of a conversation that you and I know we will have in the next 48 hours ahead of us. So I wanted to reserve a few of your arsenals for Saturday morning, because we'll have some time to deal with this matter. Thank you. Thank you. Martin Kpebu is private legal practitioner, joining us with his initial thoughts about the matters happening in Parliament as we speak. This is happening live right now. Parliament is still in session. We have eyes on what's happening in Parliament, but let's still stay in Parliament, because earlier today, that's coming up next, I'm not going to bed as yet, because Parliament is still in session. We're going to show you the live videos right now. This is what's happening in Parliament. Parliament is still live, but without the minority. The minority walked out, as we showed you live videos of them walking out from the chamber. So there's just the majority MPs. You see Dr. Dominic Ayine, Attorney General, Minister of Justice, on the floor right now. And it is the Tribunal's bill that is being considered. Christian Yale, he is our strong man in Parliament, our Chief Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent, connecting with us right now from Parliament. Chris, PS is going to have an all-night service in Parliament.
Exactly, Alfred.
That's you wanted a cup of tea or coffee or something?
Very much so, because the indication, as we have it from the majority leader, which partly prompted the walkout by the minority, is that they are going to proceed to pass this law, which is a critical law legislation. Now, when this law is passed tonight, it gives effect to what Parliament is supporting, that there should be that revival of the district as well as the regional tribunals to deal with specific cases, including mining, tax, loss of state property, and the rest of them. this tribunal system is going to have, an adjunct, more or less, authority like the High Court. And so it is an important law, but the minority, as always, are taken against it for what they think are bad memories associated with this law. So we are still keeping tabs here to see whether that is passed before midnight or even after midnight, probably. But currently, they are almost through with all the clauses of the bill.
But it is definitely the Section 4, which was a big matter of misunderstanding that led to the minority walking out, isn't it?
Exactly. And when you delete the clause 4 of the bill, basically, then the entire bill becomes useless, because the clause 4 is what is establishing the district as well as the regional tribunals, all right? And then you have the adjunct clauses, the other clauses that would deal with, for instance, media coverage of proceedings of the tribunals and whatnot. And so once you take away the clause 4, then the entire bill or intent is basically thrown out. And so once the minority has lost both on the voice vote as well as the head count, then the majority side can quickly, swiftly go through the rest of the clauses, and then they are good to pass it.
Chris, I appreciate you for this great work and great reporting. I know you're going to be there throughout the night. That is, if it goes beyond midnight, to be updating us every step of the way. So I'll encourage our viewers to stay glued to 3news.com and TV3 Ghana on Facebook, because Parliament is not sleeping. And so we will not as well, with Christian Yale, our strong man there, Chief Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent, bringing us up to speed every step of the way. But on behalf of the rest of the team, we do appreciate your company. Thank you for staying with us here on Ghana Tonight. The Justice D.F. Annan Memorial Lecture in Parliament earlier today. Take a look.
I see this Parliament as standing for something else than the interests of Ghanaians. That's how I see it. Some of them are good, but others are immersed in loyalty to the party and to whoever for the time being is president, maneuvering to progress along the political ladder, irrespective of honesty, fairness, good service to the people of Ghana. But the ship of state has tilted very, very ominously. Happily, I have to say all is not lost. There are some people who are good politicians.
Well, he mentions a few names as the exceptions. Atigya Afenyo, former member of parliament for Santiachim North, a legal practitioner as well. He's going to be joining me after this quick break.
Standing for something else than the interests of Ghanaians. That's how I see it. Some of them are good, but others are immersed in loyalty to the party and to whoever for the time being is president, maneuvering to progress along the political ladder, irrespective of honesty, fairness, good service to the people of Ghana. But the ship of state has tilted very, very ominously. Happily, I have to say all is not lost. There are some people who are good politicians and of the mindset of Justice Annan.
Well, he mentions Atigya Afenyo as one of the politicians with the mindset of the late Justice D.F. Annan. And Atigya Afenyo is former Santiachim North Member of Parliament and a legal practitioner as well. He's joining us on Zoom. Good evening. Thank you so much, Atigya Afenyo, for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. You must be a happy man tonight, hearing the respected Justice William Akroma praise you, celebrate you for your work as Member of Parliament. He said just leading the crusade against the former Finance Minister alone was one that you should be commended for. It's giving you a good night's sleep, isn't it?
First and foremost, I say good evening to you for the time that you're calling me. I just got home. But I received the information in the afternoon. Somebody shared the video with me. And indeed, I am very grateful for the recognition that I received from such noble person in society. And I'm very encouraged by the kind words he said about me and the encouragement that he also showed to others, my colleagues in parliament, those who are out of parliament like me, and those who are still there. So I'm very grateful to him for the recognition, and I'm so inspired.
Indeed, inspired you will definitely be, and rightly so. But he's not happy. He says, aside from you, your colleagues, and not just this parliament, he references parliament itself as an institution, and the members of parliament not serving the good of the people, and that you oftentimes pursue your personal interests over and above, and your political party's interests over and above the interests of the nation and the constituents that you represent in parliament. Is that a sentiment you would agree with?
Well, sometimes, yes, we could say that, but some of us also uh, behave in parliament for the cause of the nation and for the cause of our constituents. And indeed, even out of parliament, sometimes I write memos and send to the appropriate courtesies. And indeed, today, for example, I was sharing my issues with some of our ministers. You remember also that in time past, we discussed the issues of public lands and their management and how people take advantage of, pre-acquisition owners and the like. And we particularly discussed the Achimota forest lands. And the minister will tell you that I was always on his head telling him that it is not right to dissipate the only forest that we have in the whole of Greater Accra, inner city forest. And therefore, I was so impressed and so happy that yesterday he ended the day by annulling the existing executive instrument that operated to attempt to distribute part of the Achimota forest land, for example. It was not for nothing that we engage even him in the discourse. So even out of parliament, I'm supposed to even write a memo for him on Tuesday in respect of
Okay.
the Galamsey
Galamsey,
issues,
okay,
how
right.
to combat Galamsey and the like.
I see, and I appreciate you for this. And Dr. Rashid Rahman is also joining us as the director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Dr. Rashid Rahman, I just continue from where Andy Apiakobi just left off regarding the sentiments expressed by Justice William Atuguba about the representative role of Parliament, which is really the most important function of members of Parliament, to represent the concerns of the people, the constituents, and the nation as well in the course of their work. He says, from where he says that's not happening. They would rather amplify their personal and party views over and above the nation and their constituents. Is it the sentiment you share with?
Alfred, so maybe before I try to answer this very important question, perhaps we need to go back to data and evidence, recent data and evidence, so that at least at least a reflection of what Ghanaians, and maybe by extension, if we look at other parliaments where we have worked around the continent, what the citizens are saying. So first, if you take Afrobarometer data, I think the most recent data from 2025, it says simply that trust in particularly elected and representative leaders is, I think, on the low. I think, the lowest that it has been for many years. To the extent that in Ghana here, if you look at the data, I think Ghanaians trust the presidency more than parliament. And Ghanaians trust the military more than both parliament, the presidency, the opposition parties, the ruling parties, and so on. Then you go out of our continent and you look at data from International IDEA, which is based in Sweden. I think their data shows that today democracy globally, particularly on our continent and specifically in our sub-region, is faced with severe headwinds. People prefer other forms of government than, what we have that we describe as democracy, which is epitomized by the idea of representation, which is what members of parliament are there to do for us. Then just today, I came out of a conference. For the past 3 days, we have been at Kempinski Hotel, a conference which was represented by almost all the people who work in our kind of space from across the continent. There were people from as far as Lesotho and other parts of the continent. And we were looking at the financialization of politics on the continent. And if you listen to the data and figures about how much it costs to run for office, across the different kind of countries and regions of the continent, Alfred, is mind-boggling. So democracy is now for auction. Getting a seat at the table in parliament and getting a seat at the presidency is now down to, not ideas, but, the color of money. So you put all this together, I think, it summarizes what and supports what, Justice Atuguba is saying. I think he's only repeating what we already know and what the citizens of the different countries of the continent are saying and what the citizens of this country are saying.
Dr. Rashid Rahman, thank you for the comprehensive analysis of the position as espoused by Justice William Atuguba there. And also to you, the Honorable Atigya Afenyo, thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight, and you have a good night. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know Atigya Afenyo, you will definitely be having a very, very good night. But members of parliament.
So, Abusia, Lawyer Martin Kpebu, and I attend in Casa, Odessa, and Seminole, to a special tribunal court. It has come to stay. NPP for no, Omuchion Mukosro, eba former special tribunal court no, eba yejuma. Eba damase, some J Penecocutis are in some way, and my aha, gossip politics TV so, bedamase.